Jeri, what's an EDM? I don't even understand it when you tell me what it stands for.
So an EDM is electrical discharge machining apparatus. Electrical discharge machining. Electrical discharge machining.
Genius! It's an MDE.
So EDM machining is very good for machining metals that are very hard and you couldn't get in with a normal machine tool cutter like a drill bit. You have to slowly chip away with them with sparks, a spark discharge. And I put together an EDM machine from a conversation that I had with our good friend Ken that contributes often to our show. And he told me about how he would bore very tiny holes through razor blades, which are stainless steel, so that he could make a special type of cleaving cutter type device. And the way he did it was he took a solenoid, hooked it up to a power source, and it had an armature that would go up and down inside. And then the other side of the solenoid he would hook to an electrode. On his setup he would use tungsten. On my setup I'm going to just show spring steel. And then his workpiece, which would be the stainless steel, would be grounded. So when this armature falls out of the solenoid and touches the workpiece, it energizes and pulls the electrode away, causing some sparking to happen, and slowly it beats its way through the workpiece. And you put some oil, a drop of oil in this area to help remove the debris and the small bits of metal. And here I'll show you a prototype that I put together out of a doorbell.
Come in.
So here we have the electromagnet. I have power hooked to it. And then the other side of the electromagnet is hooked to the electrode. And the electrode's a piece of spring steel that runs down to a razor blade that I've got clamped in here. And then the razor blade is hooked to the other side of the power. And if I turn power onto this, you can hear the noise, but this is slowly eroding its way through the razor blade. And I'm going to turn this off. We already eroded a hole through it earlier, and I should be able to shine a laser through so you can see.
Wow, it's a laser razor.
It's very good for going through hard materials. You can also use different types of electrodes. So you can carve out an electrode with graphite in a particular shape and put it in a similar apparatus and have it slowly carve its way down into a block of steel. They also have a type of EDM which is a wire EDM, which has a constant feed of wire that's moving, and it's kind of on a plotter. So it's slowly moving through huge blocks of stainless steel or other materials, just slowly sparking away little bits of metal. So this is a way that you can make your own home EDM machine. Pretty easy.
That would be good for engraving your name on something, I would think.
Certainly, you could carve your name into a graphite electrode and then just let it spark its way down into a piece of metal. There's a lot of applications.
How much power are you using in that, Jeri? Is it just plugged into the wall? Is it?
Oh, great question. That's actually hooked to my lab supply, and it's running about 1 amp at 5 volts.
Oh.
It depends on probably on the solenoid you use and a few variables. Probably the size of the electrode. You may have to use more current. To improve this a bit more, it would be nice to have something to stabilize the electrode down closer to the workpiece. You could work your way through another razor blade and then use that hole to stabilize the electrode, or use a piece of low resistance, a low friction plastic.
I want to mention something that I think clarifies how this is working because it's easy to think of a solenoid as something that's hammering away at something, but it's going the opposite way, isn't it? It drops in with very little force, but it sparks, and that's the erosive thing. And as soon as it's ready to, as soon as it's powered up, it pulls back just a little bit so that it's always sparking. But there's not a forward force being applied. It's just a
There's a little
backward.
bit of force. I mean, it does make physical contact.
Yeah.
So there's a little
But that's
mechanical.
not the story of what's going on.
Yeah, the
It's the
majority is
fact
the
that
spark.
there's spark.
Another example, you see this kind of erosion and migration of metal in the points of cars. These old cars that have points, the metal actually migrates from one side of the points to the other. You'll see a pyramid growing on the other side. So that's probably also an effect of the electrons traveling in a particular direction through the contacts, forcing the
Yes,
metal
the
to go one
pitting.
direction.